What is up? What's up, guys? So I put on my Instagram story, and if you don't follow me on Instagram, I put on my Instagram story that I wanted to answer more questions for you guys, as that's the best thing when someone just answers a question you have. And I put on my Instagram story, I had about 6 girls message me about bulking, which made me so revved, over the moon. I am lit. Because a lot of, in the past, girls have worried about gaining weight and just haven't wanted to. And it just makes me so happy to see girls wanting to know about bulking. And I even had one of my friends, Sandy, message me and say, like, I want to know more about food because everyone's always posting macro-friendly food. And I want to eat more calorie-dense things and be able to put on some muscle. So I'm going to answer some of those questions for you guys. And if you see me looking over here, it is because this is a new camera and I'm not quite yet used to it. But welcome to the channel. Finger guns, finger guns, finger guns. The first question is why you should bulk. I personally just bulked for a while, so I'm glad that people are asking. But the reason I bulked was because I am a bikini competitor, and so I competed in a show, and then I reverse dieted from my show, went into a bulk, did a mini cut, and then went back to bulking. So the reason I was bulking was to change my physique, and I think that's the reason most people bulk, is because they want to change their physique and they don't want to be in a constant state of dieting, which is not healthy at all. So you can just go to maintenance and live your life at maintenance, which is a-okay, kind of have some fun in there, do whatever you need to do. But if you are more focused on certain goals, then you might want to go through phases of cutting and bulking, and that is going to change your physique. I'm going to flash up right here pictures of me when I'm cutting, bulking, cutting, bulking. Each time you see my physique is changing, and I'm becoming better version of myself, different. So you bulk and you gain muscle, but you're also going to gain fat. Then you get to a point where maybe you have a little bit too much fat, and that is completely personal to each person or each circumstance. So in the second picture, we had gotten to a point where my body was holding too much fat for what my goal is. So we went ahead and cut, and then we went back to bulking to gain some more muscle before I stepped on stage again. You're going to be gaining muscle and fat when you're in a bulking stage, and then you're going to be losing fat in a cutting stage. Now, you still might lose some muscle, but the main point is to lose fat. You are cutting, which I'm going to do a separate video on because I got questions since I posted my infographic. When you're cutting, you want to go slow and steady as to keep as much muscle as possible. So how to bulk. I just did the infographic on how to bulk. Those are very generalized things, and they were just kind of get the information out there, get you guys thinking, and get you guys to ask questions. It said to get your calories for bulking, it was going to be your body weight times 16. Now that can vary so much. Some people that might be way too much food, and other people that might not be enough food. So how I would say to do it is kind of figure out where your maintenance is. If you don't know, if you have no clue, then really just try to eat consistently at an intake for a decent amount of time to see if your body is gaining weight, losing weight, or maintaining. Carter Good has a great infographic on how to maintain. So you can use that as a guideline to kind of find where your maintenance is. But you're gonna wanna figure out where that is and then add on calories from there. So for me personally, we started my calories after my diet. We were at around 2,200 calories. We ate at that for a little bit, and then we waited, my coach and I waited to see how my body responds. So the best thing about bulking that you're gonna need is you're gonna need someone to keep you objective, so you're not freaking out about gaining weight, and need some way to track where your progress is going. So when you're dieting, you can track your progress by how much weight you're losing and how you're looking. And you can use the same tools for bulking, but it's going to be much different than seeing like new lines on your physique. You're gonna really want to take progress pictures and keep up with your goals in the gym, because normally if you're bulking, you're either trying to get bigger looking muscles or stronger muscles. And so you'll be able to track that in the gym, whether that be on a spreadsheet or with the help of a coach. That's where you're gonna see progress. When you're bulking, you're using that as progress, and when things stall is when you change things. So if I'm not gaining strength in the gym, or if I'm not feeling like I'm going up in weight in the gym, then we can move my food up. And if we move my food up, we can track my weight and kind of see where my weight's going to see if we need to add more food. So I started my bulk at the second time at 124 pounds, I believe. And then I ended it at 140 pounds. So I put on around 16 pounds of something. It could have been muscle, it could have been fat. But that was in the time period of over 20 weeks. So I was gaining it changed around a pound a week. So you're really going to have to learn about your body and take these cues back and use that for your bulk. So if you are bulking yourself, if you do not have a coach, find where your maintenance is and start adding calories. And how you're going to add those calories is you don't want to just, ball out, eat whatever you want, and you're just trying to shove as much food down your throat as possible. Your protein is going to stay the same mostly if you're cutting or bulking. So let's again use me as an example. I weigh in the 125 to 135 range. When I am bulking, my protein's at 140. So it's right at there. A little bit more protein than 1 pound per body weight works really well for me. When I'm cutting, my protein gets raised a little bit. And that is only for satiation and kind of you want to keep that muscle. But it's mostly for satiation because we're taking away some of those carbs and fats because your body digests those and takes those very differently. And we are adding some protein so I can keep some calories on without slashing carbs and fats. For the most part, your protein's going to stay around the same point. You're not going to be moving that. As far as your carbs and fats go, this is again going to be very, very personal. And I know people hate when you say oh, it's different for everyone when I'm trying to answer your questions, but I can't just tell you hey, you're going to want to add more fats than carbs, because I have friends, their body thrives off of fat. They do great with 130 grams of fat per day and 150 carbs. They do great on that. Me personally, I do great on a little bit higher fat. So let's say between 60 and 80 grams of fat. But I do really well with a lot of carbs. My body digests them well. So my carbs got up to almost 400 grams of carbs. So it's going to be very, very personal. So you're going to have to play with your body. If you're going into a bulk, I am assuming that you have either cut before or you have found maintenance and stayed consistent at maintenance before. If that is not the case, then go ahead and comment below so I can answer any questions specific to you. But you're really going to want, your biggest thing here is consistency, because once you get consistent about one thing, you can keep other variables. So if you're changing 17 variables at once, then it's going to be hard to see what caused it. So you're going to want to get on a specific training plan and get your macros or your calories nailed down, and then change one thing at a time, because you're really going to want to see how your body reacts to things. Along with this, you're really going to want to take into effect your lifestyle, your biofeedback. How's your digestion going as you're moving food up? How's your stress? How's your performance in the gym? How's your water intake? There are a million questions you can ask yourself for how your body's changing. So if you see your body spike by, let's say, 8 pounds, don't freak out and say, oh, I need to cut food. Give it a week. Try to get everything normalized that you can and see where you need to go from there. But making small increases is always going to be much better than taking huge leaps and having to backtrack. So find your maintenance calories, add a few hundred calories to that, divide them between your carbs and fats, depending on how your body reacts, and really nail down a gym plan. If it's personalized, even better, because having a coach or having someone to personalize it is really going to make sure that you're reaching the goals that you need. My gym time is completely different than my friend Keely's. Keely wants to power lift, and so her gym performance is completely different than my gym performance. So having someone to make that gym performance for you is going to be a lot easier and follow it so that you do reach the goals that you are in fact going for. Another question I got was about the difference between reversing and bulking. Earlier in the video, you heard me say I reversed and then went into a bulk. You've been dieting and then you're reversing your calories. So basically you're just upping your calories. You're taking that dieting and you can either go straight to maintenance or you can build up to a maintenance calories. And the point of doing that is to not shock your body, and your metabolism is super adaptive. We as humans are really adaptive human beings, again, dependent on your body. But you're going to move your calories up, and once you get to maintenance, past that is going to be considered bulking. So when you're dieting calories and you're going to maintenance, that's reversing. You're reversing back to a maintenance standpoint. Anything above maintenance is considered bulking. But it does get very confusing because a lot of girls will say like, I'm reversing, and then their calories are in bulking calories, which they could still count as they're reversing out of their dieting phase, but those are the difference between those two. Another thing I got asked was how to lean bulk, or when you know you need to cut after a bulk. Now, lean bulking is something that's very popular now. I think it's more of a buzzword than anything. The term dirty bulk is kind of what I mentioned before, and just eating whatever food you can get your hands on, which means that you're probably not tracking your intake. You're just kind of eating to eat. And whenever you see food, you're thinking, oh, I need to eat that because I'm trying to gain muscle. That is one way to do it. It works for some people. But the lean bulk idea is basically just slowly increasing your calories and getting to a point where your body is steadily gaining weight, and the right kind of weight in the right places, getting everything back to a homeostasis. So lean bulking, you can lean bulk from my bulks. I would consider all of them lean bulks because we tried to keep that excess body fat off. Not that having body fat is bad, not a bad thing, but when you are gaining weight, sometimes gaining too much fat too fast can cause health problems. And we are all in this to be better, healthy individuals, not to necessarily look a better way. So really keep your health in the forefront and what's going to be best for you. Maybe adding some body fat is going to be really great for you and your hormones, but it may not be. So you really need to judge that again for where you're at and what you need to do. And a lot of people say lean bulking is you're just only eating clean foods, but I ate how I structure any kind of eating, whether I'm dieting, maintaining, or bulking, is eating foods that fuel my body and eating foods I enjoy. You always hear people say food is fuel, but food is also meant to be enjoyed, especially in the Western civilization. Food is a huge part of being social, going out to eat with friends, potlucks, like family dinners. Food is the center of a lot of things that we do here. So taking that into effect and not just saying like, I need to eat only to fuel my body. Hey, a cupcake may fuel your body, but you might just want to eat it because you want to eat it. And that is okay as well. So for me, I have had digestion issues in the past. I've been working through them. So eating certain foods really just helps me feel better. Eating fried foods really messes with my bowel system, my bowels. So I just stay away from fried foods mainly because I don't want it to throw me into pain. So really do, again, what is best for you and how you feel. I definitely still had alcoholic drinks. I still had cheesecake. My sister owns a cheesecake business. I'm not going to pass that up. I still had cookies, I still had ice cream, I still have Pop-Tarts, and it's a-okay. I'm still okay. I still look great. My health is still intact. And then how to know when to cut. I would say a great, guideline, again, gonna be different for everyone. Take a drink every time I say that. When you feel like your body, and this is where an objective eye or a coach is going to come in handy. Let's say you've gained 10 to 20 pounds. You're to a point where your strength isn't necessarily increasing anymore. You don't feel like you're gaining any muscle anymore. Your hunger signals are all out of whack, or you've reached a point where you think your physique has significant changes. So a lot of these come into play. So my friend Lexi, she never has gotten ever like out of hand, like fat, anything like that. But a lot of times when she cuts or does mini cuts is to kind of get back to a normal place. When you bulk for a prolonged amount of times, which she does, you get to a place where you get bored with bulking, and like her hunger signals were out of whack. She was eating like almost 4,000 calories and was still hungry. That's a problem. So they would re-regulate her hunger signals, get a few pounds of fat off, and then go back to bulking. So that's one thing. If you are getting to a point where you have excess body fat, And the reason I keep repeating this, I don't want it to be taken the wrong way. I'm talking mainly in a physique standpoint. For a physique sport, excess body fat will not look like excess for a normal human being. So do not take it that way. We got to a point where we felt that I was just gaining fat because that's what my body wanted to do. So we turned around and we decided to do a cut in the middle of my off season just to get my body back to a better place. Your body changes, things change, and it adapts, and you sometimes need to switch things up or switch courses to be able to, like, for it to pay off in the long run. So those are a few things that you need to keep in mind of when to do a cut or a mini cut. I would say mini cut would be anywhere from like 8 to 12 weeks. That might not seem mini to you, but doing another length of cut shorter than that, you're gonna have to probably go to extremes, and you just can't make significant change from going from a bulk straight to a cut. How to go about free meals or refeeds. So when you are bulking, refeeds are no longer a thing. Refeeds are used as a tool when dieting to jumpstart a metabolism and or for mental sanity, which was why they were used a lot for me, because some studies showed that one day of a refeed or refeeding your body isn't necessarily going to jumpstart anything. It's more like 2 days of refeeds in a row will show the most bang for your buck, just so you know. But they are a lot of the time used for mental sanity as you're going through a dieting phase. Sometimes you just need a little bit more food to keep you pushing on. It's kind of like it's during the week, and once you get to Wednesday, you're like, okay, I can make it to Friday. So the refeeds are just a little push to help you on. When they get into bulking, you no longer really need refeeds because you're already eating above maintenance at a place that you are sustained, and you don't really need that refeed. But as far as free meals go, I have a free meal a week, and those help with sanity as well. So it's to the point of, okay, I don't want to sit and track my Mexican food. I don't want to sit and track how many chips I eat. I just want to go out and have a meal and be okay. And Sandy also asked about if it matters about eating at certain times when you're bulking. It does still matter, because the reason for bulking, and the reason any of you guys are probably watching this, is because you want your physique to look different, or you're trying to achieve a different look with your physique, or you're building up your metabolism. The best way to structure your meals is going to be what works with your schedule and just fueling your gym performance. Really making sure that you're still getting a good amount of proteins and carbs and some fats before your workout, and a good amount of protein and carb after your workout, and not just kind of drinking protein shakes and then eating Pop-Tarts all day long. Really structuring it around your gym time, and then the rest of the time, again, you have more food than if you're dieting, so you don't really have to try and space out meals as much, but just make sure that around gym performance that you're really making sure you get your meals in, and you're not causing that to suffer, because that kind of takes away from the point of bulking. And then the best foods to eat and what I eat, which is a lot of what Sandy asked. The best advice I can give for you in that is to get away from that dieting mindset. When you're dieting, you're always thinking about volume foods. You're trying to space out your meals. You don't want to eat calorie dense meals. When you are bulking, you have to switch that mindset. So you want to get away from, you still eat vegetables, which is great. You want to keep those micronutrients in, still again, eat foods that fuel you. You want to be taking away that dieting thing. Take away the thought of macro friendly, because you don't really need that anymore. You can eat real people foods and not really worry about the lowest calories. So instead of riced cauliflower, go for rice. Instead of vegetables and eating only vegetables, go for potatoes and breads and Pop-Tarts and bagels. A lot of things that you can't do during dieting, you want to do the reverse of that. So instead of getting Walden Farms, go ahead and get the normal calorie version of things. Eat full fat things. You don't need to always think low cal, low carb, low fat. Potatoes and rice were huge friends of mine, but just kind of looking for foods that aren't diet foods. I hope this answered all your questions. It says it's about 27 minutes, but if you have any further questions, go ahead and ask them below. And if there's any other topics you want me to cover, and infographics or YouTube videos, go ahead and comment below as well. Love you guys. You're the best.